Listen up, Congress. Here it is, the third week of your planned and advanced multiple act stage play entitled Government Shutdown, and we, the people, are once again awarded the cheap seats. No matter, because now you're providing us with a wealth of things to see and inspiring us en masse to say a whole lot of some things. Today's video, however, is a message to the people, but you would do well to heed the words herein, because we the people happen to support 1,000% Judge Janine Pirro's words last week when she said, after the unconscionable decision to punish the families of our fallen soldiers in order to, quote, make life as difficult as possible, unquote, for America, during the latest phony distraction, throw the bums out. Not just Democrats, rhinos, or fence sitters, but every single one of you traitors and criminals. All the players in your complicit production. And since the actions of the Pentagon against the families of the fallen soldiers are proof positive that our own military can now be considered a domestic enemy of the people, this message should be heard by the top brass as well. Aiding and abetting treason against this nation and its people will not be tolerated either. There was an article on America Conservative to Conservative this morning by Daisy Luther entitled 72-Hour Warning, EBT System Crashes. I'd like to read that article to you now. Abandoned carts full of food were a frequent sight in grocery stores Saturday morning as the EBT food assistance debit system stopped working without warning. According to a Xerox spokesperson, a routine system check by the vendor resulted in system failure, leaving assistance recipients across the country with no way to buy food. Xerox spokeswoman Karen Arena confirmed via email Saturday afternoon that some electronic benefits transfer systems are experiencing temporary connectivity issues. She said technical staff is addressing the issue and expects the system to be restored soon. U.S. Department of Agriculture spokeswoman Courtney Rowe underscored that the outage is not related to the government shutdown. Xerox runs EBT card systems for 17 states, and all were affected by the outage. Users of the EBT cards in California, Ohio, Michigan, and several other states are unable to make purchases due to the connectivity issues. But it gets worse. Xerox is notifying retailers to revert to the manual system, meaning SNAP customers can spend up to $50 until the system is back online. SNAP recipients should call the 800 number on the back of their card, and Xerox will guide them through the purchase process. However, that system is not working either. It's closed for maintenance. Shoppers left carts of groceries behind at a packed Market Basket grocery store in Biddeford, Maine, because they couldn't get their benefits, said fellow shopper Barbara Coleman of Saco, Maine. The manager put up a sign saying the EBT system was not in use. Coleman, who receives the benefits, called an 800 telephone line for the program, and it said the system was down due to maintenance. She said, "That's a problem. There's a lot of families who are not going to be able to feed children because the system is being maintenance. No one should put maintenance in during the daytime," she said. Despite the fact that government workers report orders from the Obama administration to, quote, make life as difficult for people as we can, unquote, the nation is assured that the EBT failure is in fact due to server issues and not due to the government shutdown. Keep in mind that the truckers are also on a general strike this weekend, protesting in Washington, D.C. against high gas prices, rampant unemployment, and corruption in the U.S. government. Between October 11th and 13th, they have called for a general strike, asking truck drivers around the country to refuse to haul freight, a move that could carry with it a significant impact on the American economy. The protest calls for truckers to make their way to Washington, D.C. in a massive convoy in an effort to call attention to, among other things, the Benghazi cover-up, the recent attack which killed 25 members of SEAL Team 6, ever-rising fuel prices, and claims that President Obama has engaged in treasonous crimes. Things are already starting to get ugly. Zero Hedge posted the following tweets. Nobody's EBT card is going through at Walmart. Government done shut down the EBT cards in Georgia. These folks going crazy in Walmart. Swear. Walmart just made an announcement on the intercom that EBT for the state of Georgia is down. There are now full carts left everywhere. EBT is down, so Walmart is complete chaos right now. So glad I'm leaving in 2 hours. EBT down at Walmart and MF going crazy. I almost just killed some people at Walmart. EBT is apparently down today. Working at Walmart while EBT is effed up, I might just get shot today. This is your 72-hour warning. If you don't already have a 2-week supply of food and water, now might be a good day to go stock up, just in case this is the beginning of a bigger crisis. The first 3 days after a major event are your window of opportunity to get prepared, based on the just-in-time food supply in grocery stores and the amount of food most people store in their homes. If the EBT failure continues, look for the situation to get progressively worse. So let's step back and analyze this situation, shall we? We know, for instance, that when Franklin D. Roosevelt stated that nothing in politics ever happens by accident, that if it happens, you can damn well bet it was planned that way, he was telling America the absolute truth. That's probably the only time he ever uttered the truth, but that's another story. The plans are always right out in the open, in plain sight. Only the rhetoric scripted to go along with the actions is always designed to distract and misdirect, or in the case of what we've been watching unfold this past year, to bombard the public with false claims full of downright nasty and juvenile language in an effort to influence opinion in order to place the blame on the other side. America's failure to recognize the fact that there is no other side is at the root of the problem. Only in the childish dog and pony show in front of the cameras are there two sides. Behind closed doors, where the shows are scripted and arranged with a well-defined end goal in mind, the old guard on both sides of the aisle continue their plans to mislead, manipulate anger, promote division, foster hate and intolerance, and all at the bidding of their corporate money puppet masters, the bankers. That's not to say they aren't always also very busy cooking up ways to skim for themselves and line their pockets with what they think they're entitled to from the stolen booty you call your income and property. They've been outright stealing from and draining the money you paid into the Social Security system for decades. So now the day has come when the money's gone. The largest generation in history of the United States is starting to collect what they and their employers paid in, and what now? How does the corporation, alias the U.S. federal government, tell the people that the money's gone without being held accountable for the theft. Simple. Just declare Social Security to be an entitlement, government-sponsored charity for the old and feeble, and voila! Not their fault. Old and feeble people are greedy. Then they commence to convince younger generation that their greedy grandparents are stealing their future by forcing the innocent, well-meaning government to pay the old bastards extortion money while they sit on their lazy asses and not contribute anything to society. The argument also includes the oh-so-common sense decision to enforce the death panel portions of Obamacare to put these useless parasites out of the younger people's misery. The young never bother to notice that deduction on their pay stub that shows they too are paying into what is not a government charity, but their future retirement. They don't stop to think, wait a minute, I'm paying into a charity without volunteering to do so. Hey, these guys are stealing from me. Does anybody really think the EBT card suddenly not working during the Truckers' Veterans March is some kind of wacky coincidence? If so, have I got a deal for you? Like maybe a bridge in the middle of Death Valley you can pick up for a song. They tried all kinds of tactics to get the truckers to fear up and back down, like putting out rumors that some of the truckers were planning a nuclear attack on D.C., or that the National Guard had been called to block access to the highway. They sent silly, ignorant, and indoctrinated rent-a-cops out on the streets of D.C. to perform crowd control. Now that was funny. I have to say, I got a chuckle out of watching a bunch of fools with batons and uniforms and bicycle helmets with looks of utter terror on their faces turn tail and hightail it out of there when the peaceful people began yelling, "Shame on you," and got a little close. Guess they thought we the people just might be dangerous with our voices, or maybe they suddenly realized how thoroughly idiotic they were going to look on YouTube when there was nothing to control. Not a single act of violence or anarchistic behavior was anywhere in sight. And you know, there was not one old geezer in a wheelchair with a bomb strapped to his chest. It was a sight to behold, watching those people pick up the barricades and deliver them to the lawn of our house, which the imposter communist is currently squatting in. But let's really call a spade, shall we? This phenomenally stupid stunt, called a government shutdown, has been planned for months. Don't think so? Time to share another short article. For what it's worth, the writer of the following certainly knows what he's talking about. I too have had experience with government contracts and bids. He writes, I was in procurement for 30 years and was purchasing under Armed Services Procurement Regulations. Believe me, it was a slow procedure. Isn't it hard to figure out the person who gave the orders for them? Did anyone besides me wonder how they got all those signs distributed far and wide, including to all the national parks and cemeteries overseas, only 8 to 10 hours after the government shutdown? Take a look at this from someone who wanted to remain anonymous. The anonymous person shares, I have worked in the government on and off for 40 years. During that time, I became quite familiar with requisitions, bidding, awarding contracts, etc. It is a time-consuming process with bean counters and pencil-neck bureaucrats every step of the way. The simplest request takes months, not days or hours. In less than 8 hours of the shutdown, miraculously, professionally printed 3-by-4-foot signs appeared all over the country in the tens of thousands saying, quote, "This park facility, etc., with custom logos, closed due to government shutdown." Well, there's not been a government shutdown in 17 years. These signs were designed, specifications were determined, signs were then requisitioned, bids were posted and vetted, government contracts were awarded, the materials were then ordered, and the signs manufactured, then distributed. Amazing. This shutdown was orchestrated and planned well in advance, at least 6 to 8 months ago. Millions of tax dollars were appropriated and spent in this process. And there's a paper trail a mile long leading directly to the White House. There was a short video sent to me today, which says it better than I ever could. And this is the sound and some of the graphics.
Right now, a lot of attention is focused on the Obamacare standoff and the government shutdown. As usual, this debate has been framed as a left versus right issue. And the American people who just 1 month ago united in opposition to an impending attack on Syria have divided themselves down this artificial line and have resumed their bickering in earnest. That's not to say that there's nothing to bicker about. There are real reasons to be angry, nor is this an appeal for moderation or bipartisanship, a compromise between horse manure and cow manure, still manure. This becomes much clearer once you put the furlough circus in its proper context. The Democrats and the Republicans are both trying to spin the narrative of this drama to make the other side look dishonest and irresponsible, while painting themselves as heroes trying to defend you, their beloved constituency. And some of you are falling for it. Come on. If Congress cared about you and your freedom, how is it that these same degenerate control freaks passed the NDAA of 2012 and 2013, granting the military the power to detain anyone, anywhere in the world and imprison them indefinitely without trial? Where was their righteous indignation then? And these laws are still on the books. Why didn't Congress defund the NDAA or the Patriot Act? Likewise, if Obama cares so much about your well-being, why did he sign those bills into law? He had the power to veto them, but he didn't. He's willing to play hardball, even at the point of a government shutdown, to protect his signature health care bill. But military detention without due process? Well, they didn't want to ruffle any feathers over something so trivial. And where were these valiant congressmen, these defenders of liberty, when it was time to take a stand against the NSA's domestic spying program? Did they filibuster then? I don't seem to remember hearing anything about that. Do you? There was no outrage, no talk of shutting down the government as Obama massively expanded the drone program, killing thousands of civilian non-combatants in countries that we're not even at war with. There was no talk of impeachment, even after it was revealed that Obama has his own private kill list, and that he claims the right to assassinate people on that list without trial, even American citizens on American soil, if he decides that they're a threat. No, of course not, because on those issues, the Democrats and the Republicans are in full agreement. Listen, let's not fool ourselves. What we're seeing right now is not a government shutdown. 800,000 workers were furloughed and a lot of public spaces were blocked off. But Congress didn't put their own paychecks on hold. Obama didn't get kicked out of his plush presidential palace. Now, we wouldn't want to treat our precious ruling class like that, now would we? It's the little guys that should pay the consequences. It's the workers who should feel the pain. These politicians don't care about you. This little political hissy fit we're watching unfold is a public relations stunt designed to turn the left and the right against each other and to keep you from coming to terms with the fact that the United States government is out of control. The U.S. government needs to be shut down for real, not temporarily, not some federally mandated mass layoff, not some Tea Party 2.0. This is a police state that is engaged in wars of aggression all over the planet. It has made itself an enemy of the people in every sense of the word. Rather than arguing over how to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, it's time to come to terms with the fact that this ship is sinking. The United States government is a failed state. Trying to get justice through elections or petitions is like trying to remodel a termite-eaten, roach-infested crack house. Nothing is going to change until the corporations and the banking cartels that control the system are brought into account. And we've got no chance of bringing them into account unless we form a unified front. How do we form a unified front? Put aside the wedge issues, drop this petty left-right bickering, and focus on the three things that any sane person can agree on. That these wars of aggression and this war against the people has got to stop, and that any institution which supports or profits from these wars must be dismantled. That's the common ground. That's the unifying idea that will allow the political and ideological factions to join forces against our common enemy. It's time to use that unifying idea to build a network of resistance, a decentralized web of communication and cooperation that can bring these criminals to their knees. This is not just an abstract idea. You've already proven that it can be done. In September of 2013, the left and the right unified and stopped the attack on Syria. That was a huge victory. You altered the course of history there. But make no mistake, this is not over. The powers that be will regroup. They will try another angle. We've got to be ready when they do. For specific instructions on how to topple a dictatorial government, please watch Revolution and Instruction Manual and read the books that are recommended at the end. For more videos like this, subscribe to Storm Clouds Gathering on YouTube. For updates, bonus content, and to influence future videos, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcloudsgathering. Our Twitter handle is Collapse Updates, and our website is stormcloudsgathering.com.
So, even if the rest of the country doesn't get it, there'll be no default. The deal was struck before the dog and pony show commenced. Those of us watching, seeing and saying sure as hell do. But the chance to use the fear and threat a shutdown would provide was just not to be missed by the toddler-in-chief and his Iranian mafia mama. That shutdown has turned out to be a comedy instead of a tragedy, as the people of this country began to step up to the plate, as I always knew they would, peacefully and strong. I am so very proud of all I have seen today in the videos taken of the events in D.C. Cops in riot gear running away from the peaceful encroaching crowd. Truckers and vets cutting shackles on barricades, picking them up and neatly stacking them in front of the White House where the peacock could see. Not once did the anarchist bomb-strapping Tea Party terrorists pose so much as a minor threat or display anything but adult behavior in the face of the worst threat to this nation in its 236-year history. God bless the people. So they have until Thursday to somehow get us nasty enemies of the state to behave badly. Can't declare martial law and activate whatever horrid little plan they had in place when DHS announced the alert for Region 3 for this month. Methinks the game is over because the people of this great nation are blessedly smarter than they counted on. Who knows, though, what kind of abomination they will attempt over the next few days. But as for me, I want a front row seat. Now here's an eye-opener. Another little bit of information that came to me via email. I know you can't see the links to verify this information, but I did, and it's valid. I'll read it. It's easy to dismiss individual government programs until they're put together, and this picture emerges. Someone did a lot of research to put together all of this data. Often these programs are buried within other programs, making them difficult to find. A real eye-opener. Why is the USA bankrupt? You think the war in Iraq was costing us too much? Well, how about this? We have been hammered with the propaganda that it was the Iraq War and the War on Terror that's bankrupting us. I hope the following 14 reasons are shared over and over again until they're seen or read so many times that the reader or seer gets sick of them. I also have included the URLs for verification of all the following facts. 11 billion to 22 billion is spent on welfare to illegal aliens each year by state governments. $22 billion a year is spent on food assistance programs such as food stamps, WIC, and free school lunches for illegal aliens. $2.5 billion a year is spent on Medicaid for illegal aliens. $12 billion a year is spent on primary and secondary school education for children here illegally and they cannot speak a word of English. $17 billion a year is spent for education for the American-born children of illegal aliens known as anchor babies. $3 million a day is spent to incarcerate illegal aliens who come here and continue breaking our laws. 30% of all federal prison inmates are illegal aliens. Imagine that. $90 billion a year is spent on illegal aliens for welfare and social services by the American taxpayers. $200 billion a year in suppressed American wages are caused by the illegal aliens. In 2006, illegal aliens sent home $45 billion in remittances to their countries of origin. So we're not just supporting them folks, we're supporting their folks in their other countries. The dark side of illegal immigration. Nearly 1 million sex crimes committed by illegal immigrants in the United States. The total cost is a whopping $338.3 billion a year. And if you're like me, having trouble understanding this amount of money, it is 338,300,000,000.00, which would be enough to stimulate the economy for the citizens of this country. Are we that stupid? Yes, for allowing those in the U.S. Congress to get away with doing this year after year. Well, that is a little shocking, isn't it? Especially when Obama tells the park rangers and his little bully boys in bicycle helmets to make life as difficult as possible for Americans during this shutdown. And they obediently march out to put up barricades at public monuments which don't have any government employees in open air spaces, while at the same time allowing these freebie entitlement illegal aliens to hold an organized rally, while the veterans of our wars, many of them in their 80s and 90s in wheelchairs, are kept from visiting the monuments erected in their honor. Well, maybe a little levity is now on the order. The following also came to me today. College students say Obama is great, deserves a Nobel Prize. Can't explain why. Warner Todd Houston wrote, college kids at the University of California, USC, are 100% sure that Obama is a great president, doing great things, and deserves his Nobel Peace Prize. But when asked why they feel that this is the case, not a one of them could explain why Obama is so great and deserving. Not one, in fact. One kid didn't even know Obama had gotten a Nobel Peace Prize. These morons sure had a lot of feelings and were sure that Obama had good intentions, but not one of them had any facts to back up their overly emotional twaddle. One young woman even thought Obama had only been in office 2 years, but she was absolutely sure he was doing well. Quote, I just feel like, in general, being a good guy, it's just like creating a lot more peace and like mellow. I love Obama and I love everything he's doing. I just feel like everyone is so hard on him, and it's only his second year. This Know Nothing said. When this same silly girl was asked if there was any difference between Bush invading Iraq and Obama's many Middle Eastern wars and would-be wars, she replied cogently, uh, Bush, I just didn't like him. I just don't. But this little fool was absolutely arrogantly sure that her opinion was axiomatic and just as right as rain. The perspicacity is just blinding, isn't it? Another girl said that she was originally from Washington, D.C., and just loved her Obama. But when asked why he was so great, she shied away and mumbled she didn't really follow politics and really had no idea why she should think Obama is so great. Another empty-headed young man was positive that Obama was improving relations between the USA and the rest of the world. When asked for some examples or any facts to back up his widow feelings, this naif replied, Obama just had good-natured intentions. Folks, this is what our colleges and universities are doing to our young people. End of article. Hey, America, maybe you should check on your kids. And how much are you paying for that college to turn out mindless robots? Or are you letting the crooks in D.C. rack up a lifetime of ill-gotten gain by saddling your unsuspecting little tots with student loans they'll never be able to pay because they'll never find an employer who wants to hire an illiterate progressive mouthpiece? Better start paying attention, Mom and Dad. Someday, it's you who will be at the mercy of an Obamanite senior killer who decides it's a whole lot easier to put you out of your misery than to repay the love and care you gave them. Just saying, America. Oh, and just in case you're as dumb as these offspring, a word of warning. Stories are coming in from all over the country, and for your own good, you better start paying heed. Don't even go to the Obamacare sign-up site or call the 800 number, because once you do, and then you find out the price tag is higher than your mortgage, car insurance, house insurance, and grocery bill combined, and you decide instead to opt out, well, then you'll get some nice options. Loss of your driver's license, home, and jail time if you don't allow the IRS to regularly access your bank account to withdraw what they decide will be your fine. And guess what? Even the fine is going to be more than you currently may be paying for health insurance. And you damn sure won't be able to pay for any health insurance and the fine. Welcome to the Obozo signature gift to America. Gotta support those illegal aliens somehow, don't you know? Now, before I leave America on a real up note, I have one more issue to address. Yesterday, an article came out announcing that the Obama administration has presented a brand spanking new constitution, 2,300 pages of communist drivel, designed in their words to, quote, clear up the gray areas, unquote. Listen up, baboons. Not on your life do you want to even think about going there. There will be no constitutional conventions tolerated, let alone the sick bastard's idea of a constitution. You want war in this country? Over this, we will give it to you, each and every pin-headed one of you. You do not have the authority to replace our Constitution or any one of our founding documents, and if you want to retire in peace after we get done firing you, you had better stay the hell away from our Constitution. You got that, baboons? So, I'm at the end of today's message, but before I go, America, I want to leave you with the words of a real American hero, a trucker by the name of Ernest Lee, aka General Ernest, as he tells you, in his own words, what really happened over this past weekend in D.C. that you will never see over our hijacked airwaves. And remember, America, you are the answer. Take it away, Ernest.
Hi, Ernest Lee here. 1,000-mile march for liberty, Ernest. The 25 months for liberty countdown, Ernest. The grassroots ambassador for the Convention of States project, Ernest. And right now, my proudest moment is as General Lee of the ridefortheconstitution.org. I got off in a quiet corner here. History was made today. The mainstream media was offering no coverage of it. As a matter of fact, I imagine they'll spin it and downplay it. Y'all are hungry for the results of the truckers in D.C. We split our trucks that have been growing in number each and every day. Let me tell you something. Everybody's been asking number. How many were there? Well, I want to tell you. The answer to that question is more than enough. It's been a lot of video shot, a lot of footage. I wanted to do this quiet and talk to you and tell you how things went today from my perspective. We sent a platoon, we'll say, of bobtail trucks right to the World War II Memorial. Pete Santilli, Guerrilla Media Network, live feeds on ridefortheconstitution.org. Pete had microphones on the ground at the War Memorial, video photographers on the ground. Mainstream media had coverage there as well. But while these events were going on, while they were taking place, I know for a fact Guerrilla Media was doing live streams. When the people saw those bobtail trucks, and the bobtail trucks laid on their air horns, they were mobbed by supporters. Cheers went out through the thousands and thousands of patriotic Americans gathered there. While this was taking place, we didn't want to distract or take away from the veterans. They made one pass through there to show that we, the truckers, were behind them. Then the main convoy force, full trailered with an escort of over 200 four-wheeled vehicles. Everybody with flags flying, everybody with the support, everybody flying the hashtags or having the hashtag T4Vets. They also had hashtag T2SDA for truckers to shut down America. They supported us every step along the way. As the crowd at the World War II Memorial began to disperse, they dismantled the barricades around that monument, marching en masse down Pennsylvania Avenue, carrying pieces of the barricade to lay at Barry's front door, his temporary residence. Mr. Obama, with a small O. I have no respect for this man. He needs to resign. He needs to be impeached. He's guilty of treason and raining tyranny down upon the people of America. While they were in the midst of their march, our main caravan of trucks completely shut off all access in to D.C. We choked them off across all lanes, moving at speeds of only 5 and 10 miles an hour for the next mile and a half, laying on our air horns. The people marching from the memorial to the White House heard the trucks having their back, having access to downtown Washington, D.C. completely shut off, backing up cars for over 10 miles behind us. All the horns going, and you know the people behind us, they weren't angry. They weren't angry. As we then opened a lane for them to pass, as we turned to go northeast out of Washington, D.C., as they came by us, They were giving us the thumbs up out the window, pumping their arms for us to hit the horn some more. But the people doing the march heard the truckers. They went crazy, chanting, "Go truckers, go truckers." I had the privilege of participating and being able to listen live thanks to Pete Santilli, a great American patriot. So, as the movement actually started, today, 10/13/13 should go down in history as the springboard date that we, the people, were woke up. The administration, the government, the status quo, they are scared to death. They had the traffic cameras blanked out. They had their media on a string, refusing to cover any of this live. We, the people, will be getting the real story out. This is Ernest Lee on 10/13/13. Thank you for your support. God bless America.